We all live in a simulation. This isn't just a conspiracy or crazy ideas. It is a neurological truth. When you receive light information into your eyes and pressure waves go into your ears, they're sending signals into your brain, and your brain is constructing a simulation of what it thinks the outside world looks like. Even proprioception and bodily sensations, interoception, being able to feel touch, where your hands are, where your feet are, everything about raising your eyebrows, right, smiling, everything that you experience is a simulation constructed by the information propagating through your synapses and your neurons in your brain. So in a very real sense, your entire experience is contained in here. Even though it looks like, my monitors here and here, they're not. They're perceptions. It's a construction inside of my mind. So, taking that a little further, there's a state of mind you can get into in realizing that this is all in your mind. This is all just constructs in your mind, whatever the mind is, right? So I have found that doing a walking meditation where you simply observe the world around you, the clouds, the sky, the trees, the snails, and ants on the ground, whatever, and just realize, really try to internalize the fact that that's not real, that it is a simulation being constructed by your own mind, very similar to a dream. Okay, so and it's a fairly potent experience because I like to do it a couple times a week. I go running in the mornings, and so a couple times a week, instead of running, I'll do a slow walk through my route, and I will just try to get myself in that state, and just as I'm walking, just realize that this is just all an illusion. This is a literal dream being constructed by my mind. The profundity of that realization, when you really start to analyze what the implications of that are, and what the relationship between your experience and whatever reality is, right? That you have no access to reality at all whatsoever. You don't have access to your real body. This, touching my own hands, looking at my own arms, these are just signals, right? Being processed and displayed on the screen of whatever my mind is. So in that realization that you have no direct access to your real body. Your real body is something, right? That you don't have. This is all in your mind. This is all being constructed in your mind. Your real body is almost in a different reality. It is so far removed from what you are experiencing that it doesn't have color. What's color in talking about what the real body is? It's constructed of something, right, that we've determined or decided to call atoms and molecules, but it's inaccessible. We know that it behaves a certain way, and we know that when you move your hand up and look at it, that your real body, it mirrors that movement, because whatever your real body is bumping into when I move my hand forward, right, is the monitor, but the monitor's just my perception of the monitor, just my simulation of what the monitor is, right? So nothing in the real world, whatever the real world is is accessible to us. We can access the simulation, and we can manipulate things in the real world by manipulating the simulation, but we have no direct access to it. And when you start to really start experiencing this and discovering the absurdity of it, and thinking about when you're passing somebody on the street, and you're realizing that they are your perceptive simulation of them, whereas you are their perceptive simulation of you, and how this all works together and interacts, that there's all these different simulations going around, and the only way we can interact are through these, by manipulating the simulation, thereby manipulating whatever the real world is in a way that can interact with other beings that are having the same experience, who also don't have access to the real world. The real world is like this dark, thing that we're all just kind of bumping around each other in this weirdness that we don't have access to, but we seem to be able to have found this way to experience it. I mean, right, there is no color in the real world. Color is a perceptive anomaly. It's something that has happened that allows our mind to perceive things as different colors for various reasons, right? Music, right? All of this stuff. What is music? It's just things, atoms, or whatever, right? Materials bumping into each other really fast, vibrations carried to our eardrums and firing signals into our brain, and we hear music. But in reality, it's just a cacophony of just things that we don't have access to, just bumping into each other and knocking things over, and it's just this crazy concept. So I highly suggest it when you really start thinking about physics and quantum mechanics and the absurd realities, or what we think are realities of quantum mechanics, and the absurdity of the scientific method, being pinned on with the understanding that objectivity is a fundamental tenet of the scientific method, when in fact there is no such thing as objectivity. From first principles, your experience of your reality is definitionally subjective. There is no objectivity. So, you can just go down rabbit holes, and the more you experience it, the more you start to put these weird concepts together in ways that you've never thought of before, and the less I don't know what I'm trying to say, the less coupled your understanding of our reality begins to become, because you're realizing more and more and more that this is all just subjective experience. Objectivity literally does not exist. To remove subjective experience from the scientific method is fundamentally flawed. We need to, as a species, as the global human superorganism optima, the culture of our current mindset, we need to rediscover what it means to make scientific discoveries, because we are, by our very nature, subjective beings with no access to any form of reliable objectivity. It's just not. I mean, we can have regularities. We can have what's the word? Oh my gosh. Correlations, right? Correlations between my subjective experience and my subjective experience of what they say their subjective experience is, right? But but there's no objectivity unless you want to define objectivity as the human experience of having a correlation between your subjective experience and their subjective experience of the same experience. But if you do that, then there are a bunch of things that are not objective, and there are a bunch of things that, well, I don't know. It's a rabbit hole. Have fun with it. I don't suggest doing it for too long because you can kind of dissociate pretty heavily, and it can get kind of weird if you 30 minutes max for me. I don't want to be in that state all day long because it is not debilitating. It's just not a comfortable state of mind to be in for too long. It's interesting. It's fascinating. You learn a lot from the experience of it and reanalyzing what you know of reality and having to make all the corrections of all the concepts that you've learned in your life. But it's not something that you want to be experiencing all the time. It's not conducive to having a productive day, I guess. So anyway, just realize it. Just go for a walk. I like to do it when I'm going for walks. I'm sure you could do it just as well. Just sitting at your desk or on the couch or whatever. But for me, going for walks helps kick it in to a kind of higher level because you're with nature, you're with trees, other life forms are around you. So it really kind of solidifies it and pulls you out of your comfort zone of feeling like you are in a physical objective reality, right? And it pulls you out of that and kind of locks you into this dream world. Like one of the best ways I've found to really get moving into it, right, is I'm going for a walk and just realize that this is all just signals being processed by my brain, and that's basically what a dream is, right? So this is literally a dream that just happens to coincide with the physical world, whatever that is. We don't even know what that really means. So pretty easy way to really get it juiced up and going, and then it's just like phenomenal, like just mind-blowing realization after realization. So highly suggest it. Very fascinating meditation practice. If it gets too weird, stop, obviously. There are a lot of psychological issues that can arise from doing meditative practices like this. So if you start to experience extreme discomfort or extreme dissociations or hallucinations, definitely stop. You don't want to end up with a severe psychological condition that has Western medicine doesn't understand those sort of things. For some reason, the Eastern cultures have documented these things and these side effects and these negative side effects of meditating too long and practicing meditation for too long, and have really just recognized that these things do happen and that they're aware of that. So they know not to, push it. In the Western culture, we've really ignored that side of meditation. We've kind of held on to meditation like this great grandiose thing, and we've kind of totally ignored the thousands of years of documentation of the Buddhists call them, I forget the actual Sanskrit word, but there's a word for it, like demon distractions, right? They believe that the hallucinations are distractions meant to dissuade you from the path of enlightenment, stuff like that. But aside from the belief, Eastern beliefs, they kind of have it on lockdown. We don't over here. People have crazy experiences that are not psychologically friendly, that damage people and give people a very hard and solidified psychological problems that they have to go see doctors for, and quite a bit of therapy to find relief. So definitely, if you start to have experiences that don't feel right, anxieties, feeling too disconnected, feeling aloof, not being able to think clearly, hallucinations. I already said dissociations like 20 times. Stop. It's be kind to yourself. So, all right, that's it. That's the simulation meditation. All right, take care.